Ever found yourself scratching your head, wondering why everyone else seems to despise a game you absolutely adore? Today, we're cutting through the noise and diving into 10 genuinely great games that, for some inexplicable reason, are universally hated. Get ready to reconsider everything you thought you knew.
Fancy yourself a joker, eh? Let's see how funny you find this. That's enough, Graves. Stay out of this.
Assassin's Creed 3 often gets an unfair rap, typically overshadowed by the beloved Ezio trilogy that preceded it, but it's a truly great game that pushed the franchise forward in significant ways. Its American Revolutionary War setting was a bold and refreshing departure, offering a dynamic open world that included sprawling colonial cities like Boston and New York, alongside a vast, living frontier filled with forests, rivers, and wildlife that changed with the seasons, a graphical and environmental achievement for its time. The combat was a brutal, visceral upgrade, feeling more fluid and empowering than ever before, while the introduction of naval combat was a groundbreaking addition that would later become a fan-favorite mechanic in Black Flag. Furthermore, Connor, the stoic and morally complex half-Mohawk, half-British protagonist, brought a fresh perspective to the Assassin-Templar conflict, offering a more nuanced exploration of freedom, justice, and the gray areas within historical events, challenging players to see beyond black and white narratives. Yet, many fans criticized its lengthy introductory sequence, a somewhat slow pace to truly become an assassin, and Connor's perceived lack of Ezio's charisma. Overlooking the ambitious world design, innovative gameplay additions, and a compelling, if often somber, narrative that made AC3 a vital and underrated entry in the series.
Come on, then! Such arrogance. I always knew it would be the end of you. Is the end of you.
Don't.
Resident secure. Occupant vitals normal. Procedure complete.
Despite being one of the best-selling and critically acclaimed titles in the series, Fallout 4 often faces a baffling amount of criticism, largely from a vocal segment of its fanbase who seemingly hate it for the wrong reasons. While it did simplify some traditional RPG elements like dialogue choices and skill progression compared to New Vegas, it excelled in other areas, offering vastly improved gunplay that made combat truly satisfying, a dense and beautifully realized open world in the post-apocalyptic Commonwealth that was a joy to explore, and an incredibly robust crafting and settlement building system that offered unprecedented player agency and creativity. The sheer depth of content, from hundreds of unique locations and side quests to an engaging main story with multiple faction paths, provided countless hours of exploration and discovery. The real reason for the hate often boils down to a desire for New Vegas 2.0 rather than appreciating Fallout 4 for what it is. A polished, expansive, and highly immersive action RPG that brought the series to a wider audience while still retaining much of the charm and atmosphere that makes Fallout so beloved. Despite widespread criticism, The Order, 1886, stands as a genuinely great game that often gets an unfair amount of hate, primarily due to misplaced expectations about its length and linearity. Its unparalleled visual fidelity and cinematic presentation, even years after its release, remain breathtaking, immersing players in a stunningly detailed neo-Victorian London steeped in fascinating alternate history and dark mythology. The game's narrative, following the Knights of the Round Table battling ancient evils and human conspiracies, is rich with intriguing lore and compelling characters, delivered through some of the most seamlessly integrated cutscenes and gameplay transitions ever seen. While some dismissed it as a walking simulator or too short, These criticisms often overlook its tight, focused storytelling, impactful third-person combat with unique weapons, and innovative use of quick-time events that elevate the cinematic experience rather than detract from it. Ultimately, The Order 1886 delivered precisely what it set out to be: a highly polished, visually groundbreaking, and deeply atmospheric narrative experience, and its negative reception feels largely unwarranted given its many strengths. Kane and Lynch. Dead Men is a prime example of a great game unfairly lambasted, with much of the hate stemming from launch day technical issues and a notorious review controversy rather than its core strengths. Beneath the initial roughness lay a profoundly dark, mature, and uncompromising narrative, focusing on the volatile, desperate, and often horrifying journey of two morally bankrupt anti-heroes. The game excelled in crafting an incredibly tense and character-driven experience, exploring themes of betrayal, madness, and the psychological toll of violence through the dysfunctional dynamic between the pragmatic Kane and the psychotic Lynch. Its raw, almost documentary-style presentation, combined with a visceral, chaotic approach to third-person shooting, created an atmosphere of constant dread and unpredictability that truly set it apart. While its controls and AI could be clunky, these imperfections often paradoxically enhance the gritty, desperate struggle of its protagonists, making Kane and Lynch Dead Men a bold, unique, and genuinely compelling narrative-driven shooter that was tragically misunderstood and undervalued. Despite its infamously divisive reception, Resident Evil 6 is a truly great game that receives an undue amount of hate, primarily because it dared to deviate from the series' traditional survival horror roots to embrace a sprawling, action-packed blockbuster experience. With its ambitious scope, offering 4 distinct, interconnected campaigns, each with unique gameplay styles and protagonists: Leon's horror, Chris's action, Jake's melee focus, and Ada's stealth, the game delivered an unparalleled amount of content and variety. The fluid gunplay, enhanced melee combat, and strong cooperative focus made for exhilarating cinematic set pieces and a highly engaging combat system. While many critics lamented its shift towards action over horror, neglecting the genuine scares and tension present in Leon's campaign, the game succeeded in delivering a relentless, over-the-top thrill ride, proving that a Resident Evil title could still be excellent even when prioritizing bombastic action and diverse gameplay experiences over pure survival dread. No Man's Sky, despite its infamously rocky launch, has evolved into an undeniably great game that people continue to hate for reasons that are entirely outdated and unjustified. While initial criticisms regarding unfulfilled promises and a perceived lack of content were valid at release, developer Hello Games has, through years of free, massive updates, transformed it into a sprawling, feature-rich universe unlike any other. What was once seen as repetitive now offers a staggering breadth of activities: deep base building, robust multiplayer, intricate trading and crafting systems, diverse planetary biomes, living frigates, mechs, and compelling narrative expeditions, all while retaining its core appeal of boundless procedural exploration. The initial disappointment has been thoroughly redeemed, making the persistent negativity directed at No Man's Sky today a clear case of judging a fully blossomed experience by the shadows of its past. Despite a common complaint about repetitive mission design, Mafia 3 is a truly great game that often gets hated for the wrong reasons, largely due to players overlooking its profound strengths in favor of focusing solely on its open-world structure. Its narrative is a masterclass in storytelling, offering a raw, unflinching, and deeply compelling revenge saga led by Lynch and Clay, one of gaming's most nuanced protagonists, all framed by a brilliant documentary-style presentation. The game's setting, a vividly rendered 1968 New Bordeaux, a fictionalized New Orleans, is not just a backdrop but a character in itself, authentically capturing the era's vibrant culture, iconic soundtrack, and, crucially, its pervasive racial tensions with powerful social commentary, often missing in games. While taking over districts involved repeated tasks, the underlying gunplay, stealth mechanics, and brutal melee combat were incredibly satisfying, and the repetitive actions served a clear narrative purpose, systematically dismantling the enemy families brick by brick. Ultimately, the hate often overshadows the game's exceptional narrative, unparalleled atmosphere, and brave thematic exploration, making Mafia 3 a deeply underrated experience. Despite its fiercely polarizing reception, The Last of Us Part 2 is an undeniably great game, with much of the intense hatred it garnered stemming not from a lack of quality, but from a passionate disagreement with its bold and uncompromising narrative choices. Technically, it remains a benchmark for graphical fidelity, animation, and world design, creating an incredibly immersive and brutal post-apocalyptic Seattle. Gameplay-wise, it refined the already excellent combat and stealth systems, offering deep, visceral encounters and satisfying environmental puzzles. However, the core of the unwarranted backlash lies in its daring storyline, which deliberately subverted player expectations, challenged conventional notions of heroism and villainy, and forced empathy for unexpected characters. The game courageously explored the devastating cycles of violence and the grim realities of revenge, a narrative that, while deeply uncomfortable for some, was masterfully executed and pushed the boundaries of mature storytelling in gaming, making the vitriol it received often a reaction to its thematic discomfort rather than any true deficiency.
Say the word, boss.
Despite often being unfairly dismissed as just another Ubisoft open-world game, Ghost Recon Wildlands stands as a truly great title whose significant strengths are frequently overshadowed by superficial critiques that fail to appreciate its unique blend of tactical freedom and expansive design. Its sprawling rendition of Bolivia is a masterclass in environmental design, presenting an incredibly diverse and atmospheric open world that feels truly alive, from the snow-capped peaks of the Andes and the dense, steamy jungles teeming with wildlife to the vast, blinding salt flats and bustling shantytowns. This immense, beautifully rendered landscape provides an unparalleled sandbox for military operations, complete with dynamic weather and a day-night cycle that profoundly impacts tactical choices. The game's real brilliance, however, lies in its unparalleled cooperative sandbox, which allows up to 4 players immense freedom to approach any objective in virtually any way imaginable. Whether it's a meticulously planned stealth infiltration under the cover of night, a chaotic, explosive vehicle assault through enemy strongholds, or a synchronized long-range sniping operation from a distant hillside, Wildlands consistently fosters emergent and unforgettable gameplay scenarios. The synergy between teammates, utilizing drones for reconnaissance, executing precise sync shots, or coordinating air support, creates a tangible sense of being an elite Ghost team operating deep behind enemy lines. While its side missions could sometimes feel formulaic, the sheer tactical depth and the freedom afforded in how you approached core story missions, combined with the dynamic, unpredictable nature of playing with friends, ensured that no 2 playthroughs or encounters were ever truly identical. Much of the generalized hate unfairly glosses over this exceptional co-op design and the vast, immersive world, missing the unique and satisfying tactical freedom that makes Wildlands a genuinely great and often misunderstood experience.
You as soon as you land. Good luck. All the colonists are counting on you.
Despite being a highly enjoyable and critically acclaimed RPG, The Outer Worlds often receives unwarranted criticism, largely from those who dismiss it as simply Fallout Light, or compare it unfavorably to Obsidian's sprawling magnum opus, New Vegas. However, this overlooks the game's considerable and unique strengths. It delivers Obsidian's signature sharp, witty, and often hilarious writing, packed with corporate satire and genuinely memorable characters, especially its fantastic cast of companions, each with their own compelling storylines. The game thrives on its focused, impactful design, offering meaningful player choices and consequences that truly shape the narrative and faction relations across its distinct, beautifully realized corporate dystopian planets. Rather than aiming for a massive, open-world sandbox, The Outer Worlds provides a tightly crafted, highly replay-able RPG experience that respects the player's time, proving that greatness doesn't always lie in sheer scale, but in brilliant writing, clever design, and genuine player agency, making much of the hate an unfair judgment based on a desire for something it never intended to be.